Time now for sports on SSPTV News.
This is always one of my favorite Dave days every year. It's when we talk about the blue-white game for Penn State football. This is Dave Seaman, the sports editor at the Standard Speaker, but you should know that at home, SSPTV News fans. Well, Dave, you said before, too, listen, you can't take too much away from the blue-white game, but at the same time, you know, in years past, I did mention we saw Trace McSorley, I think last year, had a really good game following up the Tax Slayer Bowl, and Tommy Stevens just reinforcing Penn State's backup quarterback, how good he really is, and just an asset he is to the Penn State football program.
Yeah, I think Penn State fans got a little taste of last year, what he can do running the football. Yeah. I think this year you might see him throw the ball more. I think he's definitely a valuable asset for the team because Trace McSorley does run a lot. He gets hit a lot too. So if the unfortunate occurs for Penn State, I think Penn State will be ready to have Tommy Stevens. He'll be ready to go. There's no doubt about that.
There's a great article on statecollege.com saying, listen, Tommy Stevens could probably start at some other programs, but he wants to stay at Penn State. He likes the community, he likes the school, he likes his teammates. So even if he plays maybe 1 year for the Nittany Lions, I think that will be great. He had a really good game. And Dave, just showing depth at Penn State right now. In the secondary, John Reed got hurt. Aaron Monroe comes in. He has a big day, 5 tackles, 1 interception, 1 pass breakup. And I read another article on Penn Live that said he set a record when he was 13 years old at the Boys and Girls Club National Boys Outdoor Pentathlon. So very talented athlete, and there is that depth now where you can kind of fill some open spots.
Yeah, a few years ago you wouldn't have said that about Penn State. Obviously, with the sanctions, it really depleted the team as far as numbers go. But Coach Franklin's been able to recruit very, very well over the last few years. And some of the older guys that have gone on before them, they kept the team together. It made people want to come to Penn State. Coach Franklin is built on that. He has great assistant coaches. And it's a hot spot to be right now. You wouldn't have thought that Penn State would have the numbers right now, but in the secondary, like you said, a person like Aaron Monroe can step in there. Other examples are like, Cole Farmer moved from safety to linebacker last year. This year, Jarvis Miller moves from safety to linebacker. So that's an indication that they are recruiting well in the secondary, and that there's going to be top-notch players coming in to replace those that have moved to linebacker or have graduated.
And Dave, depth at running back for Penn State too. We've all know it. Saquon Barkley didn't even get in this game, but you look at the other running backs who did perform for Penn State: Mark Allen, Andre Robinson. And again, it's something that true blue Penn State fans know, but just to see that there too and see that depth has to make you feel pretty good. And Dave, something I thought was interesting, you're always talking about the importance of the offensive line. Matt Millen on the Big Ten Network over and over again said this could be the best offensive line Penn State has had in years. I get very excited as a Penn State fan when I hear that because I think about these running backs and Trace McSorley and some of the wide receivers stepping up, and that could be the key to Penn State having a very good shot at repeating as Big Ten champions.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, the offensive, and it's young yet too. Most of the talent in that offensive line are young. Players like Brendan Mann last year got hurt. Also, Andrew Nelson got hurt last year too, and Penn State really didn't miss a beat. Actually, the offense picked up when they got hurt, which was kind of surprising, but it does show to their strength in numbers and the depth along the offensive line, and to some outstanding coaching as well. And the fact that these kids didn't give up, they stepped in when guys were hurt, and the Penn State offense didn't miss a beat. And they're only going to benefit this year with the injured guys coming back, younger players growing up a little bit, and that all lends credence to what Matt Millen said about the depth and the talent on the offensive line.
And Dave, we both know it's one thing to write about it, it's another thing to do it. And James Franklin, head football coach, challenged some of the media to come out to Beaver Stadium, field some punts, kick some field goals. He tried to get the crowd all into it. There's about 70,000 there. It was fun to watch. Anthony Adams, former Penn State defensive player, had a really good time. Now works for the Big Ten Network. Failed in catching the punt, but then he got busted by former quarterback Michael Robinson and linebacker LeVar Arrington. So you had all these Penn State lettermen laughing, having a good time. Dave, I know winning helps, but I think James Franklin deserves a lot of credit. It's fun again at Penn State.
No doubt about that. It is fun too. I mean, you couldn't see that 10 years ago, something like that happening at Penn State, but you have to change a little bit with the times, and I think Penn State's been able to, courtesy of James Franklin and his staff, what they've been able to bring. And like you said, winning does breed a lot of that enthusiasm, the fun again, and a lot of excitement in the air this year. The expectations are definitely going to be much higher this year. If you lose a couple games, let's see if the excitement stays, because that's the test of a program. 1 year is nice for a season, to build for a season, but the true measure of a program is how they are able to sustain that over a few years. That's why you see the Alabamas, the Ohio States, Florida State recently, and USC in years past too, that they were able to sustain excellence over several years. That's the next step for Penn State now. Now, can they sustain that going into this season? Because definitely the target's going to be on their back, and from what it looks like, these players are ready to embrace that challenge.
Well, Dave, I appreciate your insight today. And remember, keep up with all our local sports in the Standard Speaker and here on SSP TV News.